Glad you could join today. Let's talk a little bit about MVP approaches to MDM teams, but let's talk a little bit more about marketing your MDM program. So we'll talk about who would be actually responsible for marketing an MDM program. That's part of the kind of the team aspect of what I'm going to cover today. But let's start just first by stressing how important marketing is. Boy, I learned this one really the hard way. When I was first responsible for implementing MDM and implementing a governance program, I really didn't pay much attention to what would broadly be considered marketing and promotions, right? PR, public relations, and how important that really is. I learned the hard way by not focusing enough on marketing my MDM program at all aspects and at all stages, not just once we had launched, but more importantly, even before launch, even when we were just first talking about embarking on an MDM program and the benefits that was going to bring to the business. At that point, from day one, when we first started talking about MDM and investing in MDM and putting a team together, at that point, marketing should have been kind of part of the daily operations of the MDM team. And in my case, and in multiple instances, it was not. And it really, really should have been, right? Because so much of this, particularly if your end goal are more operational styles of MDM, right? Where you're creating master data and then you're pushing that into CRM systems or pushing it into ERP systems. The more operational your approach to MDM, the more you will be asking business users to do things probably differently than they are today, right? The more you're going to be asking process owners or VPs of very important stuff in your company, right? Logistics, procurement, supply chain, finance, you name it. The more you're going to be asking those people to do things probably a little bit differently than they are today, right? And because of that, because you're going to want to ask things of your business partners, that means they need to know about the value that you're driving. And you need to start advertising that. Even in advance of actually delivering the value, you need to start talking about what you're going to do. It's so important. And again, I learned really the hard way by not having much of a focus on marketing at all in any of the MDM programs that I've largely been engaged with. I really started to see this really strongly when I started working directly with Scott Taylor. Scott is a dear friend of mine. You may know him. You may have seen his videos online. Of course, he is known as the Data Whisperer. Really what Scott is, first and foremost, is without a doubt the best data storyteller that I've ever known. And what I saw him do at companies literally around the globe, we were traveling the globe together and going to companies and talking about the value of master data management, talking about the value of investing in data management. And Scott was, through his kind of innate abilities to tell stories, was able to take people who were questioning, people who were naysayers, people who were saying, we've done that before. That MDM thing, we've tried, failed. Single version of the truth is silly. We're not going to do that. It's just a fool's errand. We're not going down that path ever again. Scott, in his brilliant ability to tell stories and in essence, market is really what we're talking about. He's selling. Yes, selling. Because he was so good at it, he was able to take people who were otherwise kind of negative to MDM and would have been probably problematic to those companies because they would be at the water cooler talking about how MDM is hard and disruptive and high risk and all those things. Scott was able to take some of those people and turn them into acolytes, turn them into believers through effective storytelling and what I would argue is effective marketing and effective selling. So I really started to see, once I started working more with Scott, about how important this could be. And then I saw it work at other companies as well, where companies were making an investment on their MDM teams and their data and analytics teams around marketing. So as a part of that kind of that MVP type approach here, I love MVP, minimum viable product. It's an aspect of agile software methodologies, but I love kind of the approach of, okay, what's the minimum I need to do in order to succeed? In the case of MDM, I've long advocated that you should really kind of have 4 or 5 key roles here that I've brought up on the screen. So if we acknowledge that marketing MDM programs is important at every stage, right? From the very, very beginning, from you start talking about defining requirements and understanding business needs and understanding the problems you're going to solve, all the way through the implementation, all the way through to managing a roadmap, right? All the way through to delivering business value. At every step, marketing is so critical, because you need to get people on your side. You need to get people excited about MDM. You need to have people understand the value that MDM is going to drive, because ultimately, optimally, down the road, you're going to ask for things from them. Whether it's just simply access to a database, right? All MDM programs need access to data. Whether your ask is as simple as that, or whether your ask is more complex, like, hey, I need you to change how you onboard new suppliers, doesn't matter. You're going to be asking the business for stuff, right? And the best way to make sure that you get that and you succeed is that they understand the value of what you're doing. They understand what you're doing. That's marketing, folks. That is marketing, pure and simple. So when we look at what an MVP kind of team might look like for MDM, I really see there being 4/5, and I hesitate on the 5th. We'll talk about that a little bit. 4/5 roles here. 2 key ones when it comes to marketing are the MDM program lead and what I would previously have called a business analyst, but I'm increasingly attracted to the idea of calling them the MDM product manager, right? I love the idea of product management as a discipline applied to data management, particularly master data management. So I'm going to go with it. MDM product manager, 2 key roles here. Can this be the same person? Yes, it can be the same person. These are roles. These are not kind of full-time equivalents. You know, they might be full-time equivalents for you, but what we're talking about here are roles, and you need to fulfill all these roles. MDM program lead would be the primary interface to senior executives. They kind of be what I call the lead storyteller. But the marketing, the engine here, the kind of the narrative, the deliverables, doing the PR, doing the one-pagers, doing the things that you hang above the water cooler. I'm not joking here. Literally, what's the one piece of paper you would put on the bulletin board in your cafeteria or in your break room? That kind of stuff. The person who's going to be responsible for that is your MDM product manager. That's why I love the idea of product management when applied to data management, is because product managers know this stuff. It's called go-to-market. Right? It's not called data literacy. It's called go-to-market. How are you going to get your message to the market? How are you going to inform the market of the value of the solutions that you're going to bring to the table? How are you going to create some hype and some excitement around this stuff? So where the rubber hits the road here is really this role, what I'm calling the MDM product manager. They're going to be defining the requirements. They're going to be working with your stakeholders, right? They're going to be kind of the primary interface to your stakeholders. They're going to be the ones that understand that business, the business challenges, the business problems, and how MDM will solve for that. That's what makes them uniquely suited to be kind of creating the narrative here. So yes, your program lead will be kind of the lead storyteller, right? Going back to my Scott example, but that product manager is going to be largely creating the narrative and doing all the work here related to any of the kind of the blocking and tackling from a marketing perspective. So marketing is critical for your MDM program. It needs to be part of your MDM program. You need to be thinking about it from day one all the way through. Your MDM product manager / business analyst, product manager is the person who's going to be primarily responsible for developing those messages and executing on those messages. This is why I love kind of maybe, focusing more and more on expert product managers to fill these roles, versus kind of historically we'd looked at more kind of data-centric people and more technology-centric people. But I'm attracted to the idea of using more business-centric, more marketing-centric folks here because they know this world and they're product management experts. Other people on the team, architect, project manager, and a lead data steward. Optimally, that data steward would be on the business side. But at the beginning, I often see data stewards needing to be staffed from an IT organization, from within an MDM organization. So that's the MVP team. Your MDM product manager is going to be responsible for marketing. It's critical. You've got to be marketing the value of your program from day one all the way through in perpetuity, folks. As long as you're running this MDM program, which will be as long as you're running your company, marketing is going to be a critical part of everything that you do. All right. I will wrap up. That's it for today's episode of MDM Bytes. I hope you've got some value from our conversation today. And I would look forward to seeing you on another episode of MDM Bytes sometime very soon. Thanks, all.